wish you did this.
Got the steroid Chris Pratt. Right?
Yeah, it's Chris Pratt riding his steroid Atrociraptor. We're not implying anything about the actor Christopher Prattis, but it's pure artistic license.
Christopher Prattis.
That's his full name, didn't you know? Hi, everybody. We just got back 2 days ago from the latest in the Jurassic Park / World franchise, Jurassic World Dominion. Now, of course, if you've been following our videos, I introduced Sam to the franchise, which he had never seen before, back in...
mid-2018.
Okay, 2018, yeah. Sam! We'll go quick run through. What was your opinion on the movies?
One is a masterpiece. 2 is apparently really shit to people online, but I thought it was pretty good. 3 is a mess.
I miss fishing.
World is The Force Awakens.
A little bit, yeah.
Fallen Kingdom might be one of the worst films I've ever seen. I really, really didn't like sitting through that. I really hate Fallen Kingdom.
Myself, of course, as I have often branded myself, Jurassic Park is basically my favourite movie ever. First memory, 3 years old or something, watching Dennis Nedry get turned into Venom. The Lost World, I have real affinity for The Lost World as a movie. Vastly over-criticised is what I would say. Like, sure, it has problems, but compared to a lot of movies that are out, like, you know, a lot of the stuff Disney puts out these days, which are, you know, perfectly eaten up by the general audiences. And they're not nearly as critical on fucking, I don't know, Captain Doctor Strange Man 3. I don't know. I'm sounding a little bit like that director guy who said, like, Marvel movies aren't real film or whatever.
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, I'm sounding a little bit like that. Not to imply that, you know, Jurassic World Dominion is exactly
art.
It's exactly high art, but no, Lost World. I think it's a pretty fucking great movie, in my opinion. Love it. Jurassic Park 3. I'll just copy your words and say it's a mess, but I think it's an enjoyable mess.
It wasn't. Yeah, I could at least sit there, laugh, almost get invested in parks, and enjoy myself. Whereas with Fallen Kingdom, I was begging for it to be over.
I had my first time watching that was with you, and of course we did a video on that separately from the first 4 films, and I haven't watched it since. I told myself I would probably rewatch it in the run up to this movie, but to be honest, all you needed to know was dinosaurs are on the mainland now, and there's a clone little girl for some strange fucking reason. So, Dominion. Here we are. We come to this massively marketed for a long time movie. There was a lot of marketing going into this. I'm not sure how much you picked up on it, but me being online and, you know, following a lot of Twitter accounts and stuff, you know, I guess I'm kind of balls deep in the Jurassic Park community a bit more than you are, but
I'd literally just watch the films whenever I'm made to for YouTube. So,
yeah, that's how this works.
Again, I've watched the first film at least 5 times now, because that was just such a good film. But any of the others, it will be if I'm made to do it.
Mm-hmm. The biggest thing they probably did, which I only actually watched in full today, was this Jurassic World Dominion prologue, which I honestly was under the impression, until being in the movie, that would be what the film opened with. It's a flashback, the first time they do it in the whole franchise, of actual dinosaurs back in, obviously not real actual dinosaurs, it's CGI, in case you didn't know that. Yeah, they didn't actually film real dinosaurs, I'm sorry, break the illusion. But like, supposedly the real dinosaurs back during the Cretaceous, and, you know, it was an excuse to throw in a lot more feathered and more paleo-accurate dinosaurs. Most of them. And also, the Giganotosaurus. It introduced what was marketed as this movie's villain dinosaur. But as I'm sure we'll get into later, no. But it was a fairly good prologue. I actually really liked it. And it showed like the T-Rex in the modern day rampaging through a cinema. Yeah, I really expected the film to open with that. I kind of wish it did. Because how does the film actually open? This is going to be an excuse for us to like jog our memories because it has been 2 days.
I think there was a log cabin, wasn't there?
We get to a log cabin eventually, but that's not the first thing.
What is
It's like BuzzFeed news reporter video thing, summing up the events of the last 5 movies. You know, oh, there was the Jurassic Park. It went bad. We don't talk too much about the Lost World or Jurassic Park 3. Jurassic World was a thing. Then there was a clone girl. She's wanted by the CIA. Here's some pictures of like Quetzalcoatlus on top of skyscrapers. Try saying that word 3 times.
It's already gone out my head, to be completely honest.
Big Burb. Yeah, the whole first act of the movie, the good first hour or so, surprisingly little actual dinosaur stuff. For, you know, oh, dinosaurs are all over the world now. They've spread everywhere. There's a whole like underground black market. Again, I feel like they did this in the last movie, and it was your favourite part, wasn't it? The auctioneering off the dinosaurs to the bad men.
We didn't get to the actual point of auctioning them off, but they were nice and prepped in their little attic Lego crates, weren't they?
Yeah, because the movie actually opened, kind of explained away a couple of big question marks I had at the end of the last film. Fallen Kingdom ended with the insinuation and a really fucking bad cameo from Jeff Goldblum. I say bad because Jeff Goldblum was marketed so heavily in the last movie as, oh, we're bringing back Dr. Malcolm, we're bringing him back, he's doing all the press tours, and then he was in one scene at the very end of the movie, basically just being like, oh, the dinosaurs are everywhere now, and humanity's all we're gonna pay the price for our bad ways.
He kind of just existed in that shit one,
Yeah.
just to be like
Hubris, that's the word I was looking for. But the thing was, in the last movie, there were about 20 dinosaurs. Most of them single member species. Like, there's one T-Rex and there's one Velociraptor. And it's like, oh no, this one Velociraptor got released into the wild. We're all going to die. Nope, because it's going to immediately succumb to some kind of disease out in the woods of California and then die, and then it's extinct. The end. This movie gets around it by like introducing, I guess, like the cloning technology is kind of proliferated, and there was an illegal ceratopsid breeding farm or something. That's how the movie opened. Claire, Bryce Dallas Howard's character, is now I guess technically an eco-terrorist, I suppose, but I guess it's for a good cause, breaking into these places and freeing dinosaurs and whatnot. We get a very brief appearance from 2 characters from the last movie who I could not stand. The nerdy guy who screamed all the time.
Oh, him.
Him, and the vet, who also, incidentally, was Faye Valentine's actress in the live-action Netflix Cowboy Bebop, which we just finished watching the actual anime of, like 2 nights ago.
Watched the live action.
We have not watched live action, but that's just a random bit of trivia, which had no bearing on anything.
Live action vicious.
Yeah. Oh, I want to watch it just for that. I don't. So Claire has had an interesting character arc through these. I'm not so much sure it's an arc so much as like a character triangle? Cliff? I'm not sure what the terminology is. So she begins the first movie, and she spends the whole time in the first movie being this super uptight, like, business lady park manager who also has trouble connecting with, like, normal human beings, like her family and her nephews and stuff.
Wasn't she really cold in that first film?
Very, yes. And then in the second movie onwards, she's a hippie. Also, we never see those nephews again. You know, the 2 kids from the first Jurassic World movie?
Oh, what, Jeep from 1992?
Exactly. In fact, in just Jurassic tradition generally, we tend to never see the kid actors again. Yeah, I suppose we'll probably just begin by, like, walking ourselves through the whole plot of the movie, won't we? Since we've already started. So, a big chunk of the film from this point is log cabin stuff. If you care to reminisce.
I mean, it's kind of just... I could be remembering this out of sequence, but it's Clone Girl being all like, oh, you can't control me anymore.
Oh, I don't like being a clown.
Yeah, be like, oh, fuck off, old lady. This is my
You're
life.
not my real mum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but then when Chris Pratt comes home, because everyone loves Chris Pratt, she gives him a big old hug and like, oh, come here. You know, don't you remember that?
I do. It's
Yeah,
just I feel like you're focusing on random
I
broad strokes. So Blue's back, of course, the mascot of this franchise, because you know the Velociraptors, the horror movie slasher villain monstrosities from every movie before this point, and now it's the family dog. Blue is living kind of just around where the cabin is, and has managed to asexually reproduce, parthenogenesis, I guess. A little baby Blue called Beta, I think. Yeah, and there is a bunch of poacher slash child catcher weirdos just kind of like scoping out the log cabin, and they find both Maisie, the clone girl, and Beta, the clone of a clone raptor, I suppose, and they kidnap them. They kidnap them both and take them away, and that basically is the call to actions. You know, it brings us into the main plot of Owen and that's the first time I've ever referred to Chris Pratt as his actual character name instead of just Chris Pratt. Owen Grady. How did that finally resurface to my memory? Chris and Claire go off to try and rescue their adoptive daughter. So you know, it's a whole like, oh, gotta rescue the family, gotta rescue both Blue's baby daughter and their baby clone daughter. It's the theme. The theme of the film is about rescuing your clone daughter. I suppose. I'm making this up because this movie has like 12 different competing themes, which we'll get to. Because that's the thing. There's a whole secondary plot, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so let's go like the other main thing. We bring back Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, Ian Malcolm. Everyone's here. Sarah Harding crying in the corner. I guess Sarah and Ian just broke up. Remember Ian's girlfriend from The Lost World? You know?
I'm struggling here, I've got to be honest.
That's a shame. I liked her, but I guess she just we can't like acknowledge that those movies happened. In fact, they actually have gone out of their way to acknowledge that Jurassic Park 3 happened, but to completely nuke it. Like Ellie Sattler had a husband and kids and everything. Like, you know, it was quite clear that she and Alan didn't like get together or anything. But in this movie's like, nah, let's just do away with that. So it's oh crap, we gotta talk about the locusts, don't we?
Oh, this feels like I gotta be honest with you. The locusts feel like a plot for a PS2 game, like a real budget title. Like, oh, the world's being taken over by giant insects that eat corn in Nebraska, so you gotta go kill them.
There were giant bugs in one of the old Jurassic Park games. I think it was the NES? No, Sega Gen. No, it was one of them. Which one was Mecha Muldoon again? Anyway, so I guess there's, if we care about the Jurassic canon, there's precedent for that. There is these genetically engineered Cretaceous, I suppose, locusts who are spreading around like North America and the world, eventually eating up all the crops, except for the genetically modified crops by this one evil company with the twirling mustache, Biosyn.
Ran by Richard Parker.
Yeah, ran by the amazing Spider-Man's dad, who you pointed out to me halfway through the movie, and I'm like, oh, he does kind of look like him. Wait a minute, that's literally him, isn't it? Fuck! It's ruined! Lewis Dodgson. Dodgson. We got dogs in here! See, nobody cares. Back from the first movie and the original book. 2 books, actually. I think he was in The Lost World as well. Really kind of an old, established, kind of villainous, antagonist faction, in a way, to John Hammond. It was a rival company to InGen, who were trying to, in the original movie, Dennis Nedry was hired to like retrieve the embryos and bring them to them so they could like build their own. Anyway, they've been brought back, which, you know, in concept, I like the idea of that. It's dipping into, you know, stuff which is already established and stuff that's already there. I don't entirely understand is the overall plan, and they seem to waver between supervillain evil and kind of innocuous sort of genuine trying to do good stuff.
So what does Biosyn actually do? Like, what is their
they want to use
business?
They don't want to make dinosaur theme parks. They think that that's a waste of fucking time, and that the prehistoric creatures, plants, dinosaurs, insects, I guess, all sorts, could have pharmaceutical properties and other research, avenues. No military purposes, though. Oh my god, I just realized that. They dropped the whole fucking military dinosaur subplot in this movie.
No, the American army cannot use this to their advantage.
Except for that. We'll get to that, I suppose. So that was whole Biosyn's thing. They have this sanctuary in, like, the Alps somewhere in Italy where they're bringing up all the dinosaurs, including those from Isla Sorna, which is, again, the first time the island's been recognized since Jurassic Park 3. So again, they're sort of acknowledging those two movies, the second and the third Jurassic movie, but like also pissing on it at every opportunity.
Because didn't people think that initially it was fully retconned, like 2 and 3?
Yeah, it was a little bit uncertain.
In World, people thought, okay, that it's absolutely just following on from 1.
Mm-hmm. Like they just never acknowledged it. They never really completely. They never did anything to contradict those movies, but they just never acknowledged them in really weird ways. Like Fallen Kingdom, oh no, Isla Nublar is going to explode and there's nowhere for these dinosaurs to go. Isla Sorna? What about the giant island that's just like 5 minutes that way? Already covered in dinosaurs. Maybe take them there. Oh no, we better give them to this totally not evil guy to put them on his own private island and not sell them to the mafia or whatever. Fucking is this? Whatever. They do actually. I'm going to skip right to the end just for this, but they do at the very last second acknowledge the existence of the mom and pop Rexes from The Lost World. Do you remember the 2 T-Rexes there with the baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you notice that they actually popped up right at the last shot of the film?
Did they?
Yeah. After everything's gone to shit, and we've got Rexy, the T-Rex, which is apparently the same T-Rex from the very first movie, is in the Biosyn Sanctuary, and it also meets up with 2 other T-Rexes that come out of the forest from the other side of the screen.
This poor T-Rex has just been hoarded out everywhere possible. The poor cunt has been here since '94, and he's just been sent off to every island where some knobhead wants to put more dinosaurs.
He's been going around since at least the early 90s. I don't know how old the Rex was in original Jurassic Park in '93, but the poor guy has just been tranquilized and dragged from one island to another, to the mainlands, to here, to there, to everywhere, to Europe at the end of the movie. Christ, just let the old girl rest. But no, anyway, I just thought it was neat that those 2 T-Rexes showed up. Only the 2, though. We don't know what happened to the baby. And a fan theory for a long time has been that the baby Rex from The Lost World was the one that the Spinosaurus killed in 3. Which is all the more reason why I kind of hate that Spinosaurus. Anyway, back to the plot Dominion. Ellie Sattler is investigating these locusts, and they suspect that Biosyn may have created them to destroy competitors and basically to control the world's food supply. Basically cause a food apocalypse, which seems like a really, I don't know, just not a super cash money business decision. Let's kill off a third of our potential market base or whatever. But I don't know, I'm not a businessman, I'm just an ethical human being. And she goes to Alan Grant, and right away it's clear that they're really hammering this now kiss Ellie and Alan.
I've got my
thing.
action figures of Alan Grant and Ellie, and I want them to bum each other at the end of the. Yeah, that's. It's kind of. It was really. I don't want to say forced, but I'll say it because I can't think of a better word currently.
So I do have a few things here. That is one of the things I really wanted to bring up. The loss of the subtlety between Grant and Ellie's romance. back in the first Jurassic, there was definitely something between those two. But it was very underplayed. There was never any like big, expressions of love or the comedic like falling on top of each other, and then staring into each other's eyes until somebody comes around the corner and goes, and then they both go, oh, nothing, and then literally that scene happens in the movie. It's like I just described a trope there, but it actually almost word for word happened in the movie. Ellie and Alan, they break into Biosyn's facility. Well, they get invited in thanks to Ian, who's also already like there teaching. He got hired by Biosyn basically to like put on lectures to be like, you're all fucking idiots, and then they all go, woo. He's like, no, you're not fucking listening to me. Everything you're doing here is wrong. It's gonna go badly. You're all fucking morons. And they're like, yeah, you're great. Can you sign my book?
Could you imagine paying someone just to have a rant like every week
yeah.
or so?
Yeah, it would be like Jeff Bezos hiring like a consultant to just come in and be like, unionize! We keep him around. He's a good laugh. Keeps up morale. But yeah, anyway.
Makes them think they have a chance.
Makes them think they have a chance. So yeah, they break in and they're trying to get a sample of the in-house locusts to like compare the genetics to prove that the ones that are decimating fields out in the world are the same ones being developed by Biosyn. I think the fact that Biosyn have an underground lab full of giant locusts might be enough evidence that the giant locusts might have some kind of, maybe. Is that enough evidence? But no, they need specifically to like, dab with a little cotton bud inside one of these locusts just to prove that they are in fact the same creature. Maybe there are other places. Maybe Amazon is creating giant locusts as well. They need to prove who these ones belonged to.
This is a Biosyn world-ending locust.
Look, just check the trademark under the arse. They got a little label. Oh, it's Disney actually. I didn't see that coming.
Hang on, what's it say here? Oh, watch Loki. What's going on?
Oh god. Anyway, at one point, as they're getting the sample, it all goes wrong. They're like get trapped in the airlock, decontamination, and they fall out and they land on top of each other. And at that moment, I'm just like, oh, they're really hammering home this thing. Like, they felt like fully realized adults with a fairly mature relationship. Like a relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. They were both professionals in their field, like top of their field, paleobotany and paleontology. They have a disagreement over like kids, because she really wants kids, but he's very anti-kid, which of course his whole arc in that first movie is him like basically having to take on a parental role over Lex and Tim, and blah blah blah. Anyway, all that's thrown out the window, and now it's like teen romance fucking shenanigans between the two of them. They are constant like fumbling over each other, and they're super awkward, and I don't know. Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, Again, I don't know if I've already said this word, but it did feel like a bit of a either a regression or like a Flanderization of their character, or just being like, oh, they have the awkward romantic moments from the first Jurassic Park, so that's their entire like conversation string is going to be these moments for everything they say.
There was one scene in the original Jurassic Park where Ian is talking about how he's had a whole bunch of ex-wives and how he's a bit of a playboy and everything else. And as he's saying that, he then goes, is Ellie Settler, is she seeing anyone right now? And Alan's like, why? That's like the one moment. And then Ian's like picks up on the hint and he's like, oh, no, I'm sorry, man. Now, they took that one scene and then they did it like 20 times in this movie, where Alan is constantly like, giving Ian the angry eyeball and everything else every time they're talking to each other, and it's just, again, all subtlety has just been lost. Again, it's like they took a criticism from Jurassic Park 3, where people were like, oh no, I really wanted to see them together, and then they're like, alright, let's give the audience what they want. Nuke that entirely. Let's just say it didn't work out, and now let's start fucking ramming them together. Like, I'm criticizing this, but I also do want to say, like, I did enjoy when the three of them were together. There were points where I did really like them, and, you know, they do work well together. Generally, I just think the relationship angle was a bit overdone. Which it kind of describes a lot of this movie. Any sense of subtlety in the Jurassic World movies that the Jurassic Park movies had, the Jurassic World movies have completely lost. And that applies to everything, from the dinosaurs rampaging around cities, to the supervillainy of the evil corporations, to the character stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, it's across the board. It's like they take the cliff notes of what made those movies, and they just, like, blow it up.
Which brings us on to Malta.
Yeah, so we've been looking forward in a horrible way to talk about this part. So, following on back with Claire and Owen, they're on the tail of their kidnapped, adopted daughter clone thing. That sounds rather derogatory, but I don't know where to go. And they get in touch with Barry, who was... Do you actually remember who he is? I haven't asked you.
Just thinking of Barry Burton.
Not Barry Burton from Resident Evil. Do you remember who Barry was? It was the guy they meet up who was in the French French Secret Service.
Oh, was this Chris Pratt's mate?
Yeah. Do you remember him from previous movies?
I think he was in World, wasn't he? He wasn't in Fallen Kingdom.
No, I don't think he was anyway. He was basically the other of... It was basically him and Barry, Chris and Barry were the ones training the Raptors. Like, he was most heavily involved. He survived the events of the first movie. I don't exactly remember how or why, but he didn't get eaten along with all the other, like, paramilitary guys when the Raptors went all loose and bad and motorcycle scene. Anyway, he shows up, and it's... Alright, let's just fucking say. This whole part of the movie could have been cut. We basically agreed on this. We haven't talked too much about the movie before doing this video, but there was one thing we said on the car, was that the whole Malta sequence felt like from a different franchise.
Felt like a bad Bond film.
It felt like a bad Daniel Craig era Bond movie, complete with Breaking Bad piss filter over the whole area.
Retro mode.
Yeah, fucking. And yeah, there was, for the longest time, there was like no actual dinosaurs. They were like, they're breaking into this underground sort of black market dinosaur fucking farm trading place, so there are like baby dinosaurs in the background, but it's nothing to really do with them. They're there looking for... It becomes Taken. They're looking for their daughter in this place. And
complete with shaky cam, guns being fired, and just general tat like that. Really.
Yeah, and they're hunting down this one nonce who, you know, took her, and they meet up with like the pilot, and there's just lots of scenes of them going through shady tunnels, talking to shady people. We get introduced to a new villain, who I don't remember the name of, but I was just referring to her as the sexy evil lady, who is like the trader in the military grade dinosaurs, and she has a pack of Atrociraptors, Sam. Atrociraptor.
What the fuck is the difference between them apart from the Atrociraptor?
That's a little bit judgmental, innit? What's the difference between a fucking house cat and a leopard? Oh, sure, they're both felines, but completely different species, okay? Dromaeosaurs, Sam. Saying that, they looked like shit in this film. Sorry. They are actually a real dinosaur, of course, but they, as with so many dinosaur designs in these movies, they think, anyway, they have to keep them in line with, like, the 90s dinosaurs. So all they did was take the Velociraptor from the Lost World, and complete with, like, tiger stripe color scheme, but then made it like a square Giga Chad head. That's it. Anyway, it was really just, I don't know, they could have made a totally more interesting creature instead of just making it... I feel like most people who weren't paying attention would have just called them Velociraptors, because they're referred to as Atrociraptors once, briefly. And if you aren't quite tuned in, you could easily miss that or mishear it.
I did not hear it in the film.
Did you just assume they're Velociraptors?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go then. I guess, yeah, like, I know the movies well enough, of course, I've been paying attention to the marketing to see that they do have a slightly different head shape, but that's it. So, to be honest, I'm really struggling to remember, like, what was the chain of events in this place, because even the editing wasn't very good. Once the action started kicking off, Sexy Evil Lady releases the Atrociraptors. These ones are like are kind of like the Indoraptor in Fallen Kingdom, where if you point a laser pointer at a target, the raptor will go for it.
Oh yeah, laser pointer return for this film.
Yeah. However, they fixed a criticism of the last movie by not having the laser be attached to a fucking gun. Because if you're pointing a gun at someone you want dead, for the purpose not of pulling the trigger to, make them dead, but instead to shine a light, which will cause an off-screen dinosaur to go after them, rather than just shoot them. Of course, as you've pointed out so many times, guns don't, work in the Jurassic World universe.
Okay, I'm going to assume that, firearms are outlawed everywhere except Malta and the one island in Jurassic Park 3.
No, they're not in Malta either. It wasn't a single... Oh, no, they're right. They're like the people. Sorry, if you're shooting other people, plenty of guns. If there's a dinosaur on screen, nobody's armed.
Everyone is fumbling for something to either hit them with, to run away from, to drive in. They are painfully going out their way to not shoot a single dinosaur, and it's driving me fucking mental in these films. I'm sure
you've said that either in Fallen Kingdom or one of these past reviews. We'll have to find it. Just shoot them. I miss Eddie Carr and his this is the insta-kill rifle. It will kill anything immediately with extreme prejudice, and he never pulls the trigger once. God. But yeah, no, they don't have the laser for the Atrociraptors be attached to a gun anymore. It's just like on our car keys or something. Because, had it been attached to a gun, it would have just, defeated the purpose entirely.
We're going to get back to this point in a bit, because there's a point later where this comes up again, and it stresses me out beyond belief thinking about it.
Oh, of course. I'll say now, though, Sexy Evil Lady kind of just disappears. I was honestly expecting her to have more of a role later in the movie, but she exists for Malta to be a sort of villain, and then to, I guess, get captured by Barry at the end. I guess she was arrested. Did we see it happen? I don't remember. Doesn't matter, because she never appears again.
Last I remember is she gets tased, goes, "You're not meant to use that on people," and then just never appears again.
Yeah.
Was there any part else where she was there?
I don't know, but I think this goes back to my editing criticism. The Malta sequence has characters going down streets at high speed on motorbikes away from raptors. It has people running over rooftops, like a Bond movie or something, from raptors. And then they will jump down a ledge and they will be back where they started. So it's like say there's a hub world where all the cages were where the Atrociraptors started, and they all start running in different directions out from there, down this street and that street and over these rooftops and through people's homes. At one point they go into a woman and her kid's house, and she opens a door and they're hiding in the cupboard, and then she just goes, "Okay, bye," and leaves them to, I guess, get eaten. I assume she closed the door to make sure they were hidden, but I didn't see it, so I can't guarantee Claire didn't just sacrifice this poor Maltese mother and her son, or whatever. Anyway, but the point is, and they'll be running, and then they'll immediately be back where they started again. They'll just hit a teleport and be back in the hub world again. Okay,
how did... I apologise if I'm skipping anywhere. I don't feel like Malta matters that much in the grand scheme of the film. But he knows just to go to the plane somehow. Did he like figure? How did they ever explain to him? Oh, you need to get on the plane.
I think they were in contact.
You think?
Hold on. I'm pretty sure Claire found out from Kaylee, I think her name was, the pilot. And Claire called Owen, Chris Pratt, and said she's, as in Maisie, their daughter, is in with Biosyn. And, like, go to the airfield or something. I feel like there was a scene like that. I kind of vaguely remember. I'll assume there was. Otherwise, you're right. How did he know to go to the airfield? Yeah, I don't know. It was just, like, there was a whole action sequence, but I just don't think it was very well shot. Or there was no sense of place, is what the word I think I said in the car was. There was no, like, real grounding of this character is here, and they're going here, and they're, like, this is what they want, and this is how they're trying to achieve that goal. This is where this character is, chasing this character to this location. In a good action movie, all of this stuff should be, like, understood by the audience, so that you can enjoy the action without being fucking confused. And being like, wait, how are they back there? And how is this person? And an example, Kaylee, the pilot, earlier in the movie is like, I'm sorry, I can't help you, I want nothing to do with this, and then goes about her own business. Later, Claire is running from a raptor, she's running over rooftops, completely random like just getting away is her only objective. She then falls down off a balcony into a street, and just by pure fucking happenstance, lands like where Kaylee just was strolling, I suppose. No, and I think immediately after, the sexy evil lady, who was with Claire, is now back where she started, where the fucking authorities were previously had them surrounded, ready to arrest her. Yeah, because like this whole action sequence began with Barry and all of the undercover agents being like, you're under arrest, pointing guns. She then released the raptors to escape. She escaped, then came back again to be arrested. I don't know. It just that's what I mean. The whole thing didn't really make any fucking sense. I think we've made that clear. We can probably move on. Our basic thing on the whole Malta thing was that the whole sequence could have been cut from the movie, and I sort of wish it was, because there was some better underdone stuff later in the movie which I enjoyed more.
Hang on, before we leave Malta,
never want to go back to Malta. Fucking shithole. I've never been to Malta. I'm sorry.
Isn't there a bit where like Chris Pratt and the Winter Soldier fight each other in like a little pit area?
Oh yeah. That's a little earlier. But it is there. There's where like the sailing, a black market sale of dinosaurs is. They've got like fighting pits for like, you know, there's juvenile baryonyx and they're down in the pits. Go on, it'll shimmy you blind. And the Winter Soldier, as you called him, the nonce who kidnapped Maisie, is like there getting his entire arm fucking eaten by the Carnotaurus. Like, and as Chris is like interrogating him, asking him like, you know, where is she? Except less threateningly. He's just gonna fucking, you know, drug him with his multiple syringes while riding an Atrociraptor, I guess.
Look at him and his steroids.
It's a shame to see such a promising actor go down that road, like so many before him. Ruined his career with big yellow novelty syringes. So, we now basically have the main plot lines kind of converging when they find out that Maisie is with Biosyn, which of course is where Alan and Ellie and Ian already are. So you can kind of see the two different protagonist groups are coming together. Kaylee's aircraft is brought down by a Quetzalcoatlus, big bird. It lands in a frozen lake, but before it crashes, it's like, oh, we only have one ejectable seat and one parachute. So Owen sends Claire off, says like, you're her mother, it's your job to rescue her.
Tell Vincent to come back.
Vincent?
Oh.
It's me, your mother.
And so they send off Claire, who lands in the Biosyn like jungle forest on her own, while Owen goes off and miraculously doesn't die in a plane crash, because God forbid we ever get rid of Chris Pratt.
Like, it's not even like it just sort of, he managed to sort of steer it in a way where it landed on it's just went stuck in the ice, and he is fine. There is not a scratch. I was really looking in this scene when he like sort of bursts out the plane like the Hulk, but then he didn't have a fucking scratch on him.
No.
I'm convinced he could be eaten and shat out by a dinosaur in this film, and he'd probably just grow bigger.
Fine. It's the steroids.
Oh.
So I do want to say, we've been pretty fucking critical on the movie so far, haven't we? We've basically just been nitpicking, but I do want to say, probably my favourite scene in the movie, and I wish there was more of this and less of Malta, was when Claire is on her own, and she lands in the forest, and what does she come across?
The big fella from Dino Crisis.
The big fella from Dino Crisis, which I was so proud of you for correctly identifying in theatre. There's the Therizinosaurus comes out, and I was criticising the Atrociraptors as dinosaur designs. I will praise. One hand taketh away, one hand giveth, whatever. The Therizinosaurus looks great. It's not totally accurate or anything, but I do love this particular design. It looks very at home in the Jurassic universe. It's feathered? Feathers! We've been asking for feathers for years.
It's just a really striking design.
It was. And he was also a dick. Which I think is just like my biggest fucking favourite takeaway from this movie is that the Therizinosaurus was like personified as just an asshole. So Therizinosaurus, despite what Dino Crisis will tell you, is a herbivore. It has these giant claws, but it used them like a ground sloth or something to basically like probably tear leaves down from high branches. I think in this movie it presents it more as like a bottom feeder, like eating from whatever fruit and leaves from the ground. But that's what those claws are for. But it comes across a deer while Claire is stuck in like the tree trying to escape from her harness. There's a deer nearby, and the Therizinosaurus comes up and it's like, "Oh, look at that deer! Fuck off!" And I love that. He's just an asshole.
Like, he made a right old noise when it slapped out the way.
And Claire is, after this point, is just like fucking terrified, and she's like crawling as low as she can, as quietly as she can, away, trying to get into like an algae-covered like pond, and is like under the water, just holding her breath while this thing is like right up above. It's in the trailer. It's a pretty good scene, and I just loved that, and I wanted more. It felt like Jurassic Park 3. It felt like, and as much as we don't like that movie, or Lost World, insert whatever movie involves like trudging through the jungle, not knowing what's out there and what could be stalking you. That kind of sense of that. The old classic King Kong kind of trope. The island, the jungle, the monsters everywhere. More of that, less of like motorbiking through cities and traipsing around labs.
Looking for your daughter in Malta.
Yeah, and whatever. So I really like that, and I just wish there was a bit more of that stuff in the movie. Having like a bit more of a like Claire just on her own for a good stretch of movie, just trying to survive. Which, think back to the first Jurassic World movie, where this was a woman who was running around in high heels, and her idea of like being a survivalist was like tying up her blouse and being like, now I'm ready to go into the jungle. It's like, what are you doing? And now she's actually out there on her own. I hate to say it because I do not like Owen as a character, but she may have learned a thing or two about surviving, from him.
From the log cabin.
From the log cabin. I would have liked that. Because believe it or not, I do actually quite like her character. More so now than I think I did in the original movies. I kind of like her more than Owen, personally. And on a side note, it's a bit of a shame that I think Bryce Dallas Howard is quitting acting to focus on directing. Although she's done a pretty good job of that from the stuff that we've seen.
Yeah.
Mandalorian and stuff. The fuck happens next? I've completely forgotten.
So,
I guess we're back
it was Alan and
back to Ellie and Alan.
Yeah.
Right? They are doing stuff. I genuinely don't.
They've
Okay.
arrived at Biosyn.
Yeah, they've been there for a while. We've covered like some of their stuff. They're investigating the locusts. They come across Maisie, who's escaped. We find out why they wanted Maisie and why they wanted Blue. Dr. Henry Wu is back.
More dishevelled.
More dishevelled, less supervillain. In a weird, in a very strange and uncharacteristic, like, pulling back on the lack of subtlety. They've kind of reversed course from making Doctor Wu this from just a scientist in the first Jurassic movie to like a shady ass scientist to like a supervillain in the Fallen Kingdom to now just like a troubled genius, you know, like who just wants to do his his work and realizes he's done mistakes and wants to right those wrongs. And yeah, like he kind of gets a bit of a redemption in this
It's
movie.
an oddly nuanced thing for something like Jurassic World, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was expecting them on the trend they were going. I was expecting them to be like, "Ha ha! This whole time I've been trying to build super dinosaurs for which I will take over the world." I mean, that would be the logical next step, which thankfully they didn't.
Even that, like, I'm going to stick by that because in this sort of like world of oh, it's me, the kidnapper. Like, the kidnapping character, it's
The
me.
child snatcher.
Yeah, it's me, evil, sexy lady. There's this guy who was like a supervillain, like you said in the other sort of film, the shit one, Fallen Kingdom. And now he seems to actually have motivations.
Empathy and like, yeah, he knows he's done wrong and he's seeking a bit of redemption. Oh fuck, sorry, right back to the start of the movie. There was a very heavy-handed line of dialogue where the screaming guy from Fallen Kingdom, it was after they tried to rescue the baby, I'm gonna say Pachyrhinosaurus as a guess. Just to try to put that down there. The baby Pachyrhinosaurus from the breeding farm, they rescue it, and the one of the characters is like, "Claire, are you doing this to seek redemption?" or something. I might be paraphrasing slightly, but it's like I figured that was why. Why does this like person who helped create all these dinosaurs and exploit them for money is now going out of her way to be a hippie and rescue them? It's probably because she's seeking atonement. Hey Claire, are you doing this to seek atonement? Yes, movie. Yes, I figured that out on my own. Thanks for just reading the quiet part loud. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, back to Henry Wu. He is seeking atonement for the bad things he has done. So they need
That chip.
I need that chip. Blue, because Blue was a product of self-reproduction. No, sorry, a beta was a product of self-reproduction by Blue. A single raptor, parthenogenesis, whatever. And likewise, Maisie, we find out, wasn't cloned by Grandpa Weird Guy from the last movie, who I don't give a fuck about. Oh, John Hammond's partner, business partner, who we never heard of before, who we just introduced into this movie. He cloned his dead daughter into a granddaughter. Turns out, no, it wasn't him. It was actually the dead daughter cloned herself as an experiment, and also because she really wanted a child and to cure her of a non-specific terminal illness.
The Osborn curse.
The Osborn curse. You're a fraud, Spider-Man.
It explains why Richard Parker is in this.
Absolutely does. And how he becomes Venom by the end of the movie. Now that was the unexpected plot twist of Amazing Spider-Man 3 I did not see coming. Richard Parker, back, bigger than ever. What are we talking about?
We were talking about a film.
Okay, so they needed, because Maisie's existence was similar to Beta's existence, because they're basically a clone of their own mother, and for some reason this will help create a cure for the locusts. I don't entirely understand what the logic is. Genetics. Because Maisie was a clone, but a clone who had been also altered to remove the terminal illness, which is something that's never been done before, while Beta was a clone without any genetic tampering, so like a control group. The comparison of the two, dividing by pi, and
bollocks. That's what it was. It was total shit. That's what it was.
it'll somehow stop the locusts. I don't know. Anyway, again, the whole locusts plot was a bit weird. I didn't. There was a scene in one of the trailers to show like a big cloud of locusts. I didn't actually think it was that. I think I must have assumed that it was like Agenurth. This little thing I'm going to show on screen, a little tiny pterosaur. Like I thought maybe it was a flock of them or something. I didn't think they were going to introduce like bugs into this movie, and it was a bit weird. And when you really, I don't know, if you remove the Maisie clone from Fallen Kingdom, which we didn't like, you could kind of remove the whole locusts plot from this movie. But I guess the problem is, how do you do like an end of the world ecological disaster plot just with dinosaurs without going like full ham? They're spreading all over the planet. Soon humanity will be extinct. Like having locusts destroying the food supply is like an easier fix, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what to think about it.
I'm in two minds about it, so
Yeah.
I'll just sort of like
It's
part
just-
of me at the time thought, oh, this is a bit different, but yeah, the more I'm sort of just mulling it over, I don't know if
It kind of makes the whole existence of the dinosaurs sort of...
it almost shouldn't be a dinosaur film.
Yeah,
or
the fact
a
there are
film with
also
in.
dinosaurs there is kind of secondary. Like, they're... Yeah.
Like, okay, to go back to the worst film in the world, Fallen Kingdom, for a bit, the whole point of that ending was like, it's done terrible things to let the dinosaurs sort of, or irreparable things.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, we don't give a shit about dinosaurs. That's just a thing we deal with now. It's the locusts we've got, and it's like, hang on, the locusts. What do you mean by that? What?
Yeah.
Why is Richard Parker making locusts that attack crops? Then?
I mean, in fact, the whole end of this movie, sorry to like skip to the end there, is sort of like, alright, dinosaurs are here to stay, and we kind of just have to learn to, get along and coexist. But did they get along and coexist with the locusts? No. What did they do? They fucking genocided them. So we'll have to talk more about this at the end, because that's my last and biggest note on this whole movie. So in Biosyn, Richard Parker has figured out that Alan and Ellie are there to basically like sabotage and find evidence of his evil misdoings. He tries to stop them. They're escaping on a hyperloop, like underground tunnel, and he like turns off the power right in the amber mines, which they're going through these tunnels trying to find a way out. And you get there's a little like horror moment. Reminded me of that section in Dino Crisis 2 in the volcano. Do you remember that bit? When you're going through the volcano and there's all these little waddle boys.
Yeah.
Are coming out after. That's my waddle boy impression.
Is that
yeah.
going to be your new starting soon screen?
So we got Dimetrodons, who are indeed little waddle boys, not dinosaurs. They're synapsids from the late Permian era. I might be talking bollocks. I'll fact check myself. It's fine. And they're like chasing them through the tunnels. They get them cornered at this gate, and then Ian comes and rescues them. And huzzah! They've all been reunited. We've got Maisie has been rescued by Grant and Ellie, and now they're with Ian, and then they're going through the jungle to inevitably meet up with the other group of protags, which they do.
Didn't the car get tipped over?
At one point, the car get tipped over. Oh, that was because the locusts. They get all. He's Richard Parker is like, oh, let's just purge the locusts, and so they set them all on fire, and then somehow they're able to escape through a vent, because in this highly secure like world-ending locust. This is like some Umbrella fucking logic from Resident Evil. We've got this like highly secure lab, underground, but also there's a vent leading directly to the outside world. And so all the burning to death locusts escape through the vent, multiply immediately by about 900%. Like, it's one small room of them, and then suddenly it's a massive fucking swarm!
There was something very survival horror about that whole, like, area, wasn't there? Like,
yeah, it was very end of Resident Evil 2 in the labs. And yeah, so all of the locusts are now burning. They're all on fire, but also flying around the forest.
Brilliance.
And they're all burning up, and they're falling to the ground, and they're setting fire to the whole forest full of dinosaurs. Everything's going to chaos. And anyway, long story short, it forces our two groups to meet up. Anyway, I'm just trying to speed run to get to the Giganotosaurus, because that's what happens next, right? So everyone's together, and we finally get our second shot, our third shot of the Giga. We did get a scene earlier of it, when it met the T-Rex for the first time.
When they sort of butted heads.
Yeah, they were fighting over a dead deer. The one the Therizinosaurus fucking yeeted, wasn't it? And so the T-Rex is coming along, being a scavenger, like it may or may not have been. That's controversial. And as it's going for this dead deer, the Giga comes, and the Giga is even bigger. He's like, "Oh, you fucking stepping on my toe, this is my fucking forest." And the T-Rex gets scared and runs away. So that's like round one, kind of a lame fight. But then the Giga's back again, and we get the trailer shot where the whole group are standing in a line. And I really want to point this out because it was just done for the trailer. You have the whole cast are there, and Grant gives this whole like, "Oh, it's a Giganotosaurus, the largest predator ever to exist." And then what do?
It just gets...
Specifically, what did they do immediately after that moment? There is a Giga right in front of them, just fucking staring them down like, "I'm gonna eat you." And then what do?
They just start punching it.
No. They just lazily walk behind a nearby car, don't they? Well, I just stare here like, where you going? Where you going? It was so strange. It's like there's the big bad. The big villain of the movie, which I really don't think the Giganotosaurus did nothing wrong. A bunch of these arseholes come into its territory while it's on fire. The guy's already a bit pissed off because of that. He sees them all like, "What you doing here?" And they all just go like,
it's no more.
And they hide behind a car. And he doesn't charge at them. He doesn't bite at them. He just watches them like, "Where you going?"
It's no more of an antagonist than, like, I don't know, a background citizen in Malta was. Like, I don't know, it didn't really do anything that I can really think.
It had a very slow warm-up period, I feel. I think the guy maybe just woke up. He probably just woke up from, like, the flaming locusts falling on him or something. He was a bit groggy. He was very slow. It's not until they start panicking and they start like running up a ladder to get up to this tower that he begins to start actually chomping at them. Anyway, like you say, there's this whole sequence that all begins to go a bit nuts. There are so many characters on screen at once that they all have to get their own moment of like peril, their own moment to shine, don't they? Like, which ones can you remember?
Like, I know at one point, Ian Malcolm slips and Alan sort of catches him.
Oh, there's... Yeah, that's the first one, I think. So, Alan gets his... Even though we have our disagreements, I've still got you, buddy.
Didn't it nearly get Ellie at one point as well?
A hose went around somebody's ankle and then dragged them, and maybe that was Ellie. And then I think Alan or somebody rescued Ellie. Maisie's caught in the cage around the ladder, and then Kaylee, I think, rescues her. And then Ian does a callback to the first movie by getting a fire to distract, you know, like he should have done in the first film instead of running away. Owen fucking starts stabbing it with a dinky little knife in the face, which I pissed myself laughing at.
It wasn't. He's just in the sort of. It wasn't really that focused on it. It was kind of just like to the side as he's just sort of stabbing.
So its head is smashed in through this window, chomping at them, and he's like, "Let me get me knife." He might as well be like punching it in the nose or something. It just made me laugh. It's like, what are you doing?
We just started booting it in the face.
I'm saying, like, you may as well be, like, trying to grapple it around the ankle. Trying to, I should talk more about the Giganotosaurus design as well, just because that was another bit of controversy. The thing looks ridiculous. No fucking getting around that. However, it's grown on me. I don't know. I'm sure somebody asked me this on stream a while ago, and my answer was that I didn't like it because it just looked like it's covered in spikes and like it's made up to look like a bad guy. You know, there's no sense of like this is an actual animal that exists. It's got, oh, did you know it's the Joker of the Jurassic movies? That's what the director called it because they gave it a tiny little scar above the jaw. It's the Joker. He lives in a society, Sam.
Oh.
It looks ridiculous, but it's grown on me. And I suppose we'll just skip to the last Giga scene with the Rexy, where I stand by, the poor guy isn't even the actual villain of the film.
No, not at all. The Giga does nothing but get bullied by people for this whole film.
So as is standard, I don't look up reviews or anything else for these movies before I talked about them myself. I haven't looked at the reviews, but I'm already seeing the memes and stuff, and it looks like the common opinion is that the Giga was woefully underutilized and kinda just didn't do anything. Because, like, I'm not the biggest fan of there being a villain dinosaur in these movies to begin with. There wasn't really one in the first Jurassic movie. The raptors, I guess, in the last act, which I feel like was more of a subversion, because it's like, it leads you to think the T-Rex, you gotta worry about the T-Rex, that's what you gotta be afraid of, and then it's like, no, it's the little guys, they're the threat. That was the first movie. Second movie, doing its own thing. Third movie.
No, it's
Third
the short
movie.
ones you gotta worry.
The short ones you gotta worry about, it's the quiet ones, wait. Third movie is the one that really dropped the ball with it having to be like, oh no, it's something even bigger than T-Rex. Spinosaurus, Sam. And then you get the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World, the Indoraptor in this one. There always has to be a bigger, badder villain. But even as a villain, this one just didn't do anything that villainous. If anything, the Therizinosaurus was worse. He was an asshole.
He was just an actual cunt, wasn't he?
I think. Here's my rewritten ending. Therizinosaurus versus tag team T-Rex, the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. The two of T-Rex and Giga have a fight earlier in the movie in which T-Rex loses, right? Spinosaurus T-Rex against Therizinosaurus. Oh no, maybe Thera and Spino versus Rex and Giga. 2v2.
Oh, and like,
if we're going to be ridiculous, just fucking go into it.
yeah, at this point, you might as well be like, oh, the Giga learns from the old, so now he's like, oh, I've taken your mantle by beating up an arsehole.
So then let's have the two of them team up against the real dickheads of the franchise. Those guys. Nobody likes the Spinosaurus. He was an asshole. God, we gotta wrap this up. I'm starting to get the coffee's not getting me through this movie anymore. So the movie basically ends. The big final fight is that the Giganotosaurus shows up, and so does the T-Rex, and they start fighting because that's what they do. And then the Therizinosaurus shows up, and they team up, and they kill it together. Rexy pushes Giga onto the Therizinosaurus' claws and it kills it. And it's like, yay, we killed the bad guy. What did the bad guy do that deserved death?
He ate a deer.
He wasn't the T-Rex. Woo. It's like, the poor fucking guy. I don't know. I just feel like there was some real anti-Giga bias here. Justice for him, and I'm done with that rant. I'm quite done with that rant. Alright. Do you have any final thoughts on like the plot-wise before I get to my last thing here?
Okay, I've got something to say about old Richard Parker.
Sure.
I don't think he was enough of a cunt to get the big bastard death. Do you? Like,
what's your excuse for the babysitter in in Jurassic World then.
Oh, I didn't have one. I never defended that.
I know.
It was more like, by all accounts, I think the plague was a mistake. I think. Like, I don't know if it made it clear that he purposely wanted to take over the world like a supervillain or not.
It wasn't super clear. I thought it was deliberate, but I don't know.
Like, there were points,
it was unclear.
I feel like there were points where he seemed sort of empathetic.
It was like a mistake that's destroying the world, but in a way that entirely benefits him. And he's like, oh no, I don't want this, but it totally is designed? I don't know, maybe it was intentional, but it was working too well. It was going too fast or something, I don't know. Like, he did want to destroy competitors' crops, but it was doing it, like, way too quickly.
But not like in the causes world famine.
Yeah.
He becomes dick of the world way.
I don't know. What did you think of the actual, like, performance-wise? Because Dodgson, Richard Parker, whatever we're calling him, whatever his alias is in this movie, how did you think about, like, his actual, like, presentation? Because he's a very, like, soft-spoken kind of phone company CEO type persona, I would say. Like, you could see him up on stage selling, like, a new Apple iPhone or something, couldn't you?
I'm going to be honest, I actually think he did a good job. I don't actually think he didn't do like a Richard Parker job of this time, where every time he appeared in that film, I was thinking, fuck me, not him again. Like, this time I was actually thinking, if anything, I felt like they needed to do more scenes with him in this film, rather than the Malta stuff.
Again, I think it's just because his motivation's a little bit mucky. I don't really know how to feel about him. And he was just so weird as well. Like, do you remember this little, like, fit he has in the control room when like, the locusts escape and everything starts going wrong? And he's just going, like... It's like, what are you doing? So, like, the whole facility is evacuated. All of the other staff, of the hundreds of other people that are there, just sort of disappear. Meanwhile, he's there alone, not entirely sure how or why, and he gets trapped in a Hyperloop tunnel. The Dilophosaurus are down there, again, not sure how or why, and they venom him. And then Amazing Spider-Man 3 happens.
I think it's a pretty good setup, to be honest.
Yeah. Movie ends. Beta gets home to his ma. There's a bit in the movie where they do the hand. You know, they do the dinosaur. Oh, but then Maisie does it, and Dr. Alan Grant too. He tries doing it to Beta when they're trying to capture it to, you know, bring it home, which is like a thing because he's like the raptor guy. I don't know where I'm going with that. It just... I don't know.
He did the hand thing.
He did the hand thing. Don't we all love the hand thing? There was a bunch of memes of it, so...
I tell you what, I was getting a little bit like... I felt like the hand thing happened about 250 times too many.
Happened in Malta as well. He tried using it against the Carnotaurus, and it was like, nope, that's not working.
I thought you were about to say he tried using it against the kidnapper. He's trying to kill me. Ooh. I've completely ruined your train of thought.
Completely ruined my train of thought. F's in chat for Dr. Alan Grant's hat as well. It got eaten by a Dimetrodon. So movie ends, everybody escapes. They basically rat and biosyn. It's like, oh, evil corporate corruption. Dr. Wu makes his cure. The world's catastrophe saved. Alan and Ellie snog, don't they?
Yeah.
At one point they do. Again, no subtlety.
Banging action figures together.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's basically the whole summary of the movie. And I just want to say, because the other night, after we'd seen the movie, you were saying you had struggle even putting into words. How would you describe this film? What is this movie? And I just had written that down. What was this movie trying to be? Ecological disaster film. A film about corporate greed. A film about family and parenthood. A film about illegal animal trafficking. About black market fucking criminality. About so many different fucking things. What is this movie about?
I don't know, but I do know that I enjoyed it for the mess it was. I didn't sit there and go like, I would rather be anywhere but here. I still managed to have fun with what was there.
Sure. Like I think we've made that a little clear that we did enjoy this a lot more than Fallen Kingdom. It's just such a mess of a movie, but enjoyable. Like, I enjoyed the scenes of the old actors, just being a hammed-up version of themselves. I have issues. I think there are times when they don't really feel like the same characters. They feel just more like the actors being happy to be back. It doesn't really feel like it's taking place in the same universe. To be honest, I've kind of just established in my own head that the Jurassic World movies are in a different universe entirely from Jurassic Park. Like, Jurassic Park is far more, like, gritty and realistic, and, when I think of it, I think of, like, Jurassic Park Trespasser, rusty, overgrown, like, facilities, Isla Sorna, all this sort of stuff is the things which come to mind. And then when I think about Jurassic World, I think of evil, mustache-twirling villains trying to, build military pteranodons.
It's a little bit Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, that's a way of putting it, I guess. Again, just get rid of Malta. The island. Just cut the whole Malta sequence. Instead of jumping from one thing to another and trying to fit in as many different dinosaur action figures as you can to sell your merchandise. Lego! Instead of just trying to fit in as much stuff as you can, take your time a bit. Breathe a bit. Stop jumping from this plot point to that plot point. The world is being destroyed because there's dinosaurs, and also there's locusts, and also there's cloned girls wanted by the CIA, and also there's Winter Soldier kidnappers, and just like so many different plot points being shoved in, no focus on any of them, to the point where we're not even entirely sure what the main villain's actually primarily motive was, and the Giganotosaurus just wanted to chill with his little buddy, I can't remember what it's called, little dinosaur, like nibbling its teeth. Probably missed it, but it was cute. The guy was just chilling.
I've never seen... He basically was like a secondary protagonist, because I can't call him an antagonist because he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't He kind of just did what like an animal would do.
Blue has killed more humans than the Giga did. And we all love Blue, the family dog. Fucking assholes. Anyway, I think we're done with this franchise forever. Get rid of it.
You've got 3 more films after this.
Bigger. Why do they always have to go bigger?
Like I say, we've basically summed it all up. This has been a fairly long, rambly video, but I thought it was a total fucking mess. But not one I didn't enjoy. And that's about the most I can say about it.
I would rewatch it again. Like, it's not like Fallen Kingdom where I've essentially put that on a blacklist where I'm never going to watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
I would not watch Fallen Kingdom voluntarily. It felt like it went on forever, but this film didn't. I didn't feel like it ever outstayed its welcome. If anything, it needed to unwelcome Malta and welcome in a bit more biosyn.
There were a couple sequences I liked a lot. There was nothing I particularly hated, except for, again, just... I didn't hate Malta, I just think on retrospect, looking back on it, it just didn't really need to be there. And it's a long movie as well, isn't it? I think this is the longest Jurassic film. It's like 2.5 hours. not cutting any of this out. You read the next one. Give me a time. 2 hours 7. First movie. 1 hour 32. Jurassic Park 3. Fuck, that's short.
2 hours 9 for The Lost World.
2 hours 9. See, I always thought Lost World feels like a fairly long movie. It's one of the big criticisms everybody has of it. Fallen Kingdom. 1 hour 19 for Jurassic World. Fuck, that's short. That's the shortest movie of the lot, I think. What about yours?
Is this taking the 2 hours 9?
2 hours 9. I mean, Jurassic Fallen Kingdom, to be fair, it is 2 films slapped together, isn't it? So yeah, by quite a long shot, this is the longest movie. By a good 20 minutes or something. And yeah, it kind of feels it at times. Again, I said this near the start of the video. I think that the prologue, which you can watch online on YouTube right now, would have been a better start to this film. It would introduce the Giga for a start. It would actually have a book ending, a fight at the beginning, back during the Cretaceous, where the Giga and the T-Rex fight, and the Giga kills the Rex. Ooh, establishing. And then at the end, it's the same fight, the rematch, except the Rexy wins, blah blah blah.
Is it really a win if it's
No, it was a prison shanking. It's cheating. Fucking the Rex, Jesus Christ, that Rex always cheats. He beat the Indominus in Jurassic World with the help of Blue and the other raptors and the Mosasaurus.
Well, they're going to spin it and say, well, it's just friendship winning, isn't it?
The power of friendship. Therizinosaurus doesn't have friends.
No.
The power of mutual hate. World War II in a nutshell.
I'd watch it again. I think they probably need to do another cut of this film. Or if it was me, I would want to make another cut where I'm just sort of either add a few scenes they may have cut out in, and half Malta.
I'm sure you could maybe cut it down enough to where it still makes sense without having anything to do with the sexy evil lady or all of that action sequence, which serves no purpose at all besides having a big dumb action sequence in the middle. And then slap on the prologue at the beginning. If there's any deleted scenes from the latter half of the movie, shove that in too. There, director's cut. Make it happen. Okay, I think we're done. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for coming all this way just to watch this piece of shit movie. And, yeah. Jurassic World is done, we believe.
Dominion.
This is the last of the movies. The last of these world films.
What will be the next trilogy?
Jurassic Universe 2025. Kill me now.